Let's get it on!
Sprawl and brawl, ground and pound. Get ready for an MMA showdown. Now, the ultimate Octagon Insider, Sean and Tristan Ducross.
All right, everybody. We are the Ducross Brothers. Small little echo. We are the Ducross Brothers Sports Warriors. I'm Tristan Ducross. Along my side, as always, my partner in crime, the one and only Sean Ducross. Sean, incredible show that we have for our fans. Bellator 206 on Danzig. It's going down. We're going to break down that card. Also, special guest on the show, getting his team prepared for IE Fight Night, October 20th, Night of the Champions. The man, coach, head coach of CSW, Ben the Badger Jones, is going to be on the show in the Warriors Den. Can't wait to talk to that man. We got stories with him, so it's going to be incredible to get down to talk business with him. In the meantime, the biggest super fight isn't in the UFC. It's not in any other league right now, except for live on Danzig. Get your paid subscription.
But we'll get to that in a minute because we got the biggest headline coming on
the
that started
breaking
in the
news
last 24 hours
that's shaking up the combat sports world.
that saw Victor Ortiz, boxer, being arrested in his home in Oxnard, California due to rape allegations. This guy has been in long-term turmoil when it comes to either getting caught for DUI. It really doesn't matter what he's doing. He seems to find himself in awkward trouble and can't buy himself a break. So this stems from a investigation back in March 19th, where Victor Ortiz was accused of forcible rape. You name it, any forcible, crude acts. He was reported to the police by, and now we have a arrest. He has turned himself in. He was scheduled to fight in Ontario. All reports say that this fight is supposed to still happen. Not sure how or why this fight would even still be allowed to occur after he's been arrested due to these rape charges and him actually turning himself, basically admitting fault or admitting guilt. Not sure how this plays into everything because, I mean, this guy has been in and out of legal trouble. It's like, how many more opportunities does he get?
See, with everything that has happened, Sean, with the women's rights and everything stepping up and going forward, I feel like that any type of headlines that is this big, this massive, and when it's in the combat sports world or in sports in general, this needs to get run. And nobody's talking about this. Nobody's pushing it. Victor Ortiz, once a world champion, once a highly touted fighter in the boxing world, did something that is so disgusting, so heinous, and nobody's talking about it. And this guy's going to fight in a boxing fight over the weekend. How is that okay? How is nobody picking up this story and running with it and not making it bigger news? And yet we're talking about the fake news that is going around on Twitter between two fighters that said that there's a fake division and they're trying to push the envelope for the UFC to allow it.
And we'll get to that a little bit later. So this isn't the first time we've heard about forcible rape from an athlete, and it's probably not going to be the last one. We've seen it with allegations against Kobe Bryant. We've seen that with allegations, numerous of fighters. So at some point, what makes you as a fighter so confused about when a woman says no? If a woman says no, that's it. What? Because you're a fighter, you're stronger, you're more aggressive? What? You can pin down the woman and you can get away with whatever you want to get away with? That's not right. Why is it that they feel so composed at this rate to do such heinous acts. And let alone you're awarding this guy an opportunity at keeping his career going by giving him this fight. I don't care if the other guy wants this fight. He doesn't deserve to fight. He deserves to be in jail right now, waiting to be expedited for his court hearing. But yet, we're talking about, oh, this guy's going to be allowed to fight. This has been investigated from March. It finally concluded today with him turning himself in.
Because he knows he was in the wrong.
So he basically admits fault. He admits to his wrongdoing. For crying out loud, this guy has a history in 2015 of being allegedly assaulting another individual with a deadly weapon. So why is he even out there when you know he has bad history? Where's the probation? For crying out loud, maybe where the hell's the ankle bracelet?
Right.
To figure out where this guy is. Because everything points to him being a bad guy. What, do we have to wait till he goes down the idea or the road of War Machine? May we remind people about how sickening and disgusting that act was that he did to Christy Mack a few years ago? Do we have to risk another human being's life to go down that road? I get as a society right now we're so twisted. But why is he still allowed to do this? DUI charges. Assault with a deadly weapon. Now forcible rape. On 3 counts. And y'all thinking about letting him fight in Ontario?
Right.
Like, come on. Draw the line in the sand at some point. This is so confusing about what people are going to be punished for and what they're not going to be punished for. I don't understand how, as a court or people that are involved in that area are so afraid to put the hammer down on the right people, but they're quick to put the hammer down on the wrong people. That never changes. But yet when it comes to an athlete who is at a certain level or a certain caliber, it's looked at the other way. It was looked the other way when it was Kobe Bryant. It was looked the other way when it was Ben Roethlisberger. It was almost looked the other way when War Machine. So being looked away by Victor Ortiz. It was looked away with Floyd Mayweather. We could keep going down the list of every athlete that did heinous acts, crude acts, and not been punished because of their stature. We've talked about this before on our show a couple years ago, when War Machine had his actions. Some point, somebody needs to rise up and hold people accountable as an athlete. Because if I did something like this, everybody would be quick to point fingers. Everybody would be the ones that would be like, okay, you're going to be in prison just like that. Yeah. There would be no second guessing. There would be no, oh, well, I'm going to give you a slap on the wrist and you off to your merry way. No. That's you getting pulled out of your work job, getting arrested, go take it to a courthouse. You're going to be spending the next weeks until your court hearing. And the very next day, you won't have a job. But yet these fighters can keep doing whatever they want. These athletes can keep doing whatever they want. And it gets swiped right underneath the rug, pushed off to the side. And 15 months later, they'll be right back where they started from. When is it enough? When should people start being held accountable for their actions? Really? In the news, I heard a guy spit in somebody's food could get max up to 4 years in prison. 2 minimum. For spitting in somebody's food. Wait. I got one. What's his name? Bill Cosby gets arrested on what he did about 30, 40 years ago about raping women, drugging women. He's sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. Something he did 30, 40 years ago.
But athletes, really?
Forcible rape, a guy who has a criminal record
for it.
We're talking about letting him fight. But we're talking about putting a 80-year-old man, or however old Bill Cosby is,
or a 20-year-old kid for spitting in somebody's food 2 to 4 years.
Ridiculous.
But we're talking about Victor Ortiz, a boxer, forcibly assault a woman on multiple accounts, turns himself in, expected to be released, maybe get a slap on the hand, is able to fight in his boxing to make money, make millions of dollars. You're okay with that? I'm not. We're the New Cross Brothers. We're the Sports Warriors. When we come right back, we got Bellator 206. The Legends Division is co-headlining.
Before we go out, though, Robert Almeida, congratulations on your Muay Thai victory this past weekend. Great job, my man.
Muay Thai, dude. Amazing win. I give you a virtual high five. There you go, buddy. Great win. Keep it up. In the meantime, the New Cross Brothers Sports Warriors live on Facebook, on YouTube, iLiveTV.com. That's where we're at. I'm Tristan New Cross. On my side, as always, my partner in crime, the one and only Sean New Cross. We'll be right back. You're now listening to the Sports Warriors with Sean and Tristan Ducross every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You want all your local amateur MMA news? You want a new fresh take on pro MMA? This is your show every Wednesday on IELiveTV.com and Facebook Live. What's up, everybody? We are the Ducross Brothers, Sean and Tristan Ducross. You want the most authentic MMA bobblehead? You want to go to MMABobblehead.com. Right now, if you head over there, you can get Dan Henderson and Chuck Liddell bobblehead dolls, as well as stay on their lookout for more bobbleheads to come. Go to MMABobblehead.com and use Ducross and get yourself a code.
Hello, I'm Lyle Murdoch of IE Live TV. Have you ever had an idea or dreamt about producing your own show? Or maybe you just have an event that you'd like to make available online? Then contact us here at IE Live TV. We are using the latest technology in live streaming and top quality video equipment in our productions. Servicing all audio and video needs, our systems are compact, wireless, and completely mobile, so our presence is barely noticeable. Here at IE Live TV, we're doing high quality audio and video productions at a fraction of the cost of other production studios. To find us, just go to www.ielivetv.com or give us a call at 866-831-5737. IE Live TV for quality live video streaming.
Everybody, we are back. We are the Sports Warriors. I'm Tristan Ducross. Along my side, as always, is my partner in crime, Sean Ducross. Sean, what an incredible show we have for the fans. We just talked about Victor Ortiz and his issues that he's going on right now. Just turned himself in a little while ago. That's what's going on right now in boxing with him. In the meantime, we got the Badger, the head coach of TSW, Ben Jones, joining the Sports Warriors in the Warriors Day, coming up at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you catch that interview. In the meantime, Bellator live on Danzig, September 29th. Get your subscription, $9.99 a month, and you get this free fight. If you sign up now, one free month, and you get this fight on live on Danzig. Headlined probably by the biggest super fight. And we're not talking about a super fight in the UFC. We ain't talking about a super fight in other leagues. We're talking about the biggest super fight. And it's going down in Bellator. Two men, Rory MacDonald, Gegard Mousasi, both men have been very adamant, very vocal. Hey, let's fight. I don't care who you are. I'll fight you. And for the longest time, they get poking at Scott Coker. Scott Coker the mad scientist, says, absolutely, let's make this happen.
Because that's what you get with Rory McDonald. The new Rory McDonald wants to make super fights. He wants to be what Conor McGregor is. Will he ever get to that level? Probably not. But at least he realizes what he needs to do to get to that level. And that is shoot. Okay? I'm called the Red King for a reason.
Right.
I'm the one that brings the leather. I'm the one that doesn't walk away from a fight. I walk through it and I go right into the hellstorm that is about to come forward. That's the style of fighter that he is. He wants to achieve things that are being achieved by Conor McGregor. So by that way, he's like, let me go get my second belt. Let me go take on one of the baddest guys in mixed martial arts right now. And that is Gegard Mousasi. Gegard Mousasi is one of the most underrated guys in all of mixed martial arts. UFC let this guy go.
They let like both of these guys go.
On like a 5-fight win streak. Gegard Mousasi is ridiculous in terms of his stylistic approach.
And the calmness that he has when he's inside that cage.
He's a calm striker. You could see another potential, maybe Robbie Lawler versus Roy McDonald style fight. But if you get the Roy McDonald that has developed into Bellator, who's his teacher? George St. Pierre.
He's the protege.
What does George St. Pierre do best? I will take my fist and I'll put it in your face with my jab. But at the end of the day, I will take him down and I will smother him and I will beat him on the ground. You look across the bow and you say, well, what is Gegard Mousasi going to do? Well, he's not the one to take the fight down to the mat. He's the one that's going to stand there and throw his hands. He has submission victories, but you're looking at almost two polar opposites now in stylistic matchups.
And where they're at right now in their career. But when I'm looking at, Sean, when I'm looking at Rory McDonald has like nothing to lose in this fight but everything to gain. This guy could claim Mousasi's title, go to the Grand Prix, beat up John Fitch, keep his title and be what we classify now in the UFC is a champ. And we could see the kind of the legacy and the legend as the Red King continues to grow in Bellator because of everything that he's wanted to do. And in Bellator, he's being allowed to do that. Now many people think about, well, the talent's not really up to par. Well, two of your best fighters from the UFC are right here, and they're facing off.
Two of your most underrated fighters in the UFC are right here squaring off. In a makeshift champion versus champion, even though that it's only Gegard Mousasi's title that's on the line in this, because Roy McDonald will defend his title
Against John Fitch?
Dude, where the title has a chance to flip-flop from hand to hand.
Dude, that's another thing that's very interesting about this fight is because knowing going into this fight, you're staring across at a guy that you know has a chance at beating you, but it doesn't matter because the strap's on the line. But then knowing in the back of your head, you have a tough fight and a tough road ahead of you in the Grand Prix, and your first foe is John Fitch? Like, how does that, as a fighter, how can you come into this fight clear-minded, focusing 100% on the fight that is at hand, knowing that right around the corner you got another fight? And so your title's on the line.
You go from one badass to another one if you're Rory McDonald. Like, you are at a level right now of taking fights that you really don't care about the outcome if they benefit you or not. You're here to show why you are one of the baddest guys on the planet. And the scary thing, though, is that this Roy McDonald that you're getting
is probably the best Rory that you've
Is
seen.
so cold-blooded right now and so calculated that I've never seen this.
Do you contribute that to the loss, when he was absolutely mangled and destroyed mentally and physically by Robbie Lawler?
It could
That
be.
all of a sudden he goes over to Bellator and he understood that standing toe-to-toe.
In his first Bellator thing, he talked about putting the entire division in body bags. Let's not forget about that. Like, how many people really did forget about him? The fact in one of his first interviews, he talked about putting the entire welterweight division in body bags.
And what I like about this fight is that it's two different fighters. Because people don't understand that how well-rounded Rory McDonald is on the ground. He learned from GSP. He was a protege. So if something does
TriStar.
if something does not go right, Sean, standing up face to face with Gegard and Mousasi, oh, dude, I think he's going to go right to the well, take down Mousasi, and the Red King's going to hold up the title victorious, because I don't think he wants to stand there and trade with Mousasi, but I do believe that if it comes down to that, we're going to see these two men just go to war. Because it won't be a stalemate. It won't be a sleeper. Nah. These guys have war on their mind. And it's either going to be on the ground or it's going to be face-to-face.
I think you got Rory that's going up in weight to middleweight. This is Mousasi's division. Gegard has ran rampant through the middleweight division for almost a decade. It is hard for me to think that Rory is going to go up in weight and walk right through Gegard. I find that very hard. I want to say Gegard's going to walk out and still. But with the way that the MMA game is altering and changing, I'm saying let's go with change. Rory McDonald is going to walk out of Bellator 206 as the new middleweight champion. He will walk into the welterweight Grand Prix as the middleweight and the welterweight champion of the world.
What? And he's going to be the champ?
He'll be the champ for at least all of maybe a round.
That's
Maybe
what
around.
it's going to be. And Sean, on this card too, you have the Legends division. Rampage Jackson versus Wanderlei
That's
Silva,
funny. I skipped over that one.
right? But I'm just curious. I just want to ask: does anybody really care? Like, seriously,
The fact that the co-main event is Rampage Jackson versus Wanderlei Silva, the ex-murderer,
to me,
who's
this-
not really the ex-murderer anymore.
to me, this tells the people that, hey, combat sports fans, MMA fans in general, are stupid because they don't know who Aaron Pico is. They don't know Douglas Lima. They don't know Korshkov. So we're going to throw out Rampage and Wanderlei because your casual fan knows who they are. That's how you spin this.
But see, to me, the co-main event should have been Douglas Lima versus Andrei Korshkov.
Yes.
That is the first fight in the welterweight
Grand
Prix.
And it's the third fight.
And it is a sequel to their first bout from Bellator 164 that
Rudy-
saw Douglas Lima drop Andrei Korshkov.
Hold on. Rudy, is it really, like, come on. I don't know what you woke up with, but
You think Rampage and Silva is going to be a battle?
that's no. Rampage lost to Chael Sutton.
It would be like at what point, who's huffing and puffing in the corner go, is the round over? Is the round
They're going to
over?
call the doctor and want oxygen tanks near cage side. Need to put on the oxygen so you can actually breathe so they can continue the fight.
Yeah.
You'll be lucky to get out of round one
And
without huffing and puffing.
And this is the fourth time that Rampage and Silva have fought. Fourth time.
To me, this
all
is just-
three fights have ended in knockout. So somebody's going to sleep apparently.
Dude, this just brings me back to the fact that when I see Rampage and I see Wanderlei Silva, I'm thinking that, oh, this is just a grudge match because somebody wants bragging rights over, hey, I own it over you. That's basically what it comes down to. Like the kid on the street that has the block and you don't. That's basically what it comes down to. That's what I see with Rampage. Douglas Lima, Koreshkov, again, you're looking at that.
If Koreshkov wants a different outcome that he had against Douglas Lima, is that he needs to do what he did best in that fight, which was take down Douglas Lima and avoid the striking. The issue I had within that fight was the fact that Koreshkov didn't have the ability or the wherewithal to really tuck his chin. If you watch that fight, Douglas Lima would tuck his chin, and that's how he would throw. Koreshkov always stood a little bit more upright. His hands were down. So it left that left hook always open for Douglas Lima. That's how Koreshkov got knocked out. Left hook, his hands were down. He went night-night. You look at this one now, Koreshkov, don't stand there with Douglas Lima. Get Douglas Lima down to the mat, and let's go ahead and see if you can defeat Douglas Lima that way. But if you can't, you're going to go night-night again. So grab yourself a pillow. You may need one.
It's going to be incredible. But if you don't have the streaming service right now, get dancing, $9.99 a month, 1 month free, and you get Bellator 206. It's going down. Sean, but
you talk about Danzin, and the little bit of digging I did on Danzin is that to see that Bellator 206, the biggest card, the first one of Bellator is on Danzin, on the streaming. It was smart for Danzin, but also the mastermind behind Danzin, a little bit from the little bit I've done, is Eddie Hearn, boxing promoter.
And he owns the guy.
He always knows the intricacies of who I can lure. There's even talks right now that Eddie Hearn is talking to Triple G from last week, what I talked about bringing him over to Danzin with matchroom boxing.
When you're talking about what Danzin's doing and changing the game and changing the world that we watch, I was talking to our producer, Sean Lyle. I was telling him that I've never been a huge fan of buying services, buying streaming services.
No, it's weird.
But I've been thinking about, I saw the press conference when Danzin was first announced, and you saw Anthony Joshua, you saw fighters at the fighters for the Grand Prix. And like Lyle's doing right now, that's all I kept thinking was money. And unfortunately, they took my $9.99 a month so I could get Bellator 206. And I feel like I'm a WWE cutting a promo right now saying, for $9.99, you could get Danzin for free for 1 month.
You would think Danzin's paying you right now.
But yeah, so Danzin, Bellator 206, it's going down over the weekend, September 29th. I can't wait for this fight card.
I'm guessing at this point, you got to get comfortable with streaming.
Yeah.
Because I was apparently one of the few that apparently still buy hard copy video games.
Yeah.
Apparently that's not the in thing to do anymore. It is to buy digital copies of video games.
And apparently now it's to buy
streaming services for $9.99 a month. Whether it is the WWE Network, whether it is UFC Fight Pass, or whether
the DC Universe coming out with the Robin and the Teen Titans. Maybe I might just jump on that. More with the Cross Brothers Sports Warriors coming up next. We got CSW head coach, the Badger, Ben Jones, preparing his team for war at IE Fight Night, October 20th, Night of the Champions. We'll be right back.
You're now listening to the Sports Warriors with Sean and Tristan Ducross every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You want all your local amateur MMA news? You want a new fresh take on pro MMA? This is your show every Wednesday on IELiveTV.com and Facebook Live.
What's up, everybody? We are the Ducross Brothers, Sean and Tristan Ducross. You want the most authentic MMA bobblehead? You want to go to MMABobblehead.com. Right now, if you head over there, you can get Dan Henderson and Chuck Liddell bobblehead dolls, as well as stay on their lookout for more bobbleheads to come. Go to MMABobblehead.com and use Ducross and get yourself a code.
Hello, I'm Lyle Murdoch of IE Live TV. Have you ever had an idea or dreamt about producing your own show? Or maybe you just have an event that you'd like to make available online? Then contact us here at IE Live TV. We are using the latest technology in live streaming and top quality video equipment in our productions. Servicing all audio and video needs, our systems are compact, wireless, and completely mobile, so our presence is barely noticeable. Here at IE Live TV, we're doing high quality audio and video productions at a fraction of the cost of other production studios. To find us, just go to www.ielivetv.com or give us a call at 866-831-5737. IE Live TV for quality live video streaming.
You're now listening to the Sport.
All right, everybody, we are back. IELiveTV.com, Facebook Live, YouTube. Hit us up at the New Cross Bros on Twitter. Man, we are the New Cross Brothers Sports Warriors. I'm Tristan New Cross. On my side, as always, is my brother and my partner in crime, Sean New Cross. Sean, incredible show. We spoke about Victor Ortiz and his issues. He just turned himself into the police because of his issues with sexual assault. So he's on the back burner currently. Bellator 206 on Danzig, $9.99 a month. One free month and you get Bellator 206. In the meantime, Sean, Bellator 206 is going down over the weekend. CSW head coach Ben Badger Jones. Welcome to the Sports Warriors. Welcome to the Warriors Den. Awesome to have you here.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to be here, man. It's about time, I get on here and you get to talk to a real dude.
A real dude? The dude that apparently was a football player before MMA?
I did, man. I played high school football locally around here. I went to a junior college, got a scholarship out to a school in Iowa. I was All-American a couple years, and then went on and played in the Arena League for about 3.5 years, and then had a brief cup of coffee with the Toronto Argonauts in the CFL.
The real football league, I guess now is what we should call the CFL?
Yeah. It was fun, man. It wasn't the NFL, I never had the opportunity to play in the NFL, but it was a lot of good football. Arena was real hard on the body, but the CFL was fun, man.
Aren't you happy that you're not playing in the NFL right now with the sack rule, with the roughing the passer?
I tell you what, I couldn't play in today's game. I made my last football game was damn near 20 years ago. 2003, I think, was my last game with the Argos. And I made a career out of hitting people with my head. And that shit just don't fly no more. It's not even real football anymore. It's I firmly believe that they're gonna do away with these pads and helmets here before too long.
Unfortunately, that's the NFL. I get that they want to play it safe, but man,
they just don't want to get sued. That's all it is.
Hey, I almost wanted to crack one open, but that's a Diet Coke. I was thinking something totally different.
Yeah. It's a little too early, but you never know.
Hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It is. Damn right.
But you just touched on it, being a football player and using your head and getting hit in the head quite a bit. You heard the rumblings of CTE. You heard rumblings about that, and you're also an MMA fighter. You transitioned from football to MMA. How's the contrast so different between getting hit in the head with football versus getting hit in the head with punches? What would you think is safer? Because that's been a hot topic for the last 2 years.
To be honest with you, I think it depends, man. The type of training that MMA that we do with the kickboxing, mixed in with the grappling and the wrestling and even just the boxing in there, I think that the impacts are probably a lot harder in football, just because you have another person running full speed right at you. And when I played, a lot of times, like I said, I firmly believe I could have played without shoulder pads because I hit with my face mask and my head so much. Whereas I know that's not safe. That's just the way it was done. But to answer your question, I think football probably has a bigger impact on the CTE, just because the collisions are so much harder, right? And people say, well, it's just a game. Well, don't forget about practice. We used to hit 4 or 5 days a week in practice back in the day. It wasn't like this. The rules have changed in high school and even college football about how many days of full contact, full pads that these guys can go. To be honest with you, I attribute all the head injuries and the kids getting concussions nowadays to the fact that they're not hitting as much and they're not conditioned as much, right? I believe that their necks are a lot weaker, and that's why they're getting so much trauma, right? Now, of course, I firmly believe in good technique and tackling, but I just think throughout my 15-year fight career, I had quite a few concussions when I was playing football. Like I said, I was a big impact guy, especially coming downhill from the safety position. But I've never been dinged in a fight or practice. I've never been knocked out. I've never been any of that. And trust me, I've been hit hard. I've had training partners that were world champions, in the UFC, kickboxing, all kinds of stuff, and guys that were notorious for knocking people out. But I attribute it to my neck strength from playing football. Now we'll see down the road. I was in both fields and spent a long time in both fields. So we'll see down the road, 10 years down the road, just where I'm at. But as of right now, I feel pretty good. So
that was going to be my next question, Ben, is how do you feel physically now being in both worlds? How do you feel now?
My head feels pretty good. Now, I'll be honest with you, I can't go on roller coasters anymore and stuff like that. I get dizzy looking at them even, and when I was a kid, I used to go on them a lot. Now, I know that doesn't directly relate to CTE or any kind of brain trauma, but that is a telltale sign that you do have traces of dementia. It can be a warning sign. I would say that my memory is pretty good. My memory is pretty strong. I feel pretty good. I do a lot of stuff to help it. I read and do stuff like that as much as I can if I have time allows. I'm definitely trying to counteract anything, but you never know, man. I've met guys that fought for 1 year and they're not doing real well. They just took a lot. I went up to 205s, which I had fought at before, but I'm more comfortable at 85, or I was more comfortable at 85. So I took that fight. About 2 weeks before the fight, they said, hey, the guy's not going to make 205. The lowest he can make is a catch weight at 230. So I had to be within 8 pounds of him. So my manager and coach at the time, Eric Paulson, said, look, that's just too big, man. That's jumping up 2 weight classes. The guy was like 8-0. I sort of felt like I could beat him still, and I sort of really wanted to take the fight. I wanted to get my Bellator career going. So we turned down that fight. They said, don't worry about it. They actually booked me a fight at the Bren Center in Irvine a couple months later. And then about 3 weeks before that fight, I was sparring on a Saturday, and I threw a real hard left hook, and I tore my bicep. And at that point, I was 38 years old, or 39. I think it was 3 years ago at this point. I had been fighting for almost, 14 years or something like that. I had herniated disc in my back, multiple broken hands. And when I tore that bicep, man, I just knew the writing was on the wall for me. It was just, my body just couldn't keep up with the way that I train. I'm a classic overtrainer. And at that point, I was cornering all these guys. I was already cornering guys in the UFC and doing all kinds of stuff and setting up camps for everybody else. And, it just is what it is. I knew the time was up, and I knew I had this passion for coaching and training guys, and I felt like I was going to be pretty good at it. So that's basically when I made the transition.
Ben Badger Jones here with the Sports Warriors with Sean and Tristan across. You transitioning over to coaching. You have 2 top fighters that are going to be fighting on the amateur circuit for IE Fight Night, October 20th. One is the man known as Seth Davis, who seems to be on a terror. What's it been like coaching Choi and Seth Davis getting ready for October 20th?
Man, my amateur team is studs. They don't train like amateurs. They train like pros. Anybody that see my guys fight, they know that my guys, they don't look like amateurs. They're well-rounded, and they're coming in there to kill. We're not going for decisions. We're going for finishes, right? I'm not happy after fights unless my guys have tried to finish these guys as much as possible. If you look at Choi, he's a 145er. He's about 6'1", Asian guy, tough as nails. He's basically the protege of one of my main pros, which is Curtis Millender, who's in the UFC, ranked number 15 in the world. When Curtis came over to me about 4 years ago, he's like, hey, I got this kid. He's in high school. He's a wrestler, and he's tough as nails. I want him to fight. So his nickname is Theo. I don't know if you guys remember 92.3 The Beat. There was a tall Asian DJ who was like super cool. His name was Theo. And this kid reminds me of him, which is why we nicknamed him Theo. He came over, and I'll tell you what, man, this dude's a killer. Like, he's tall for that weight class. His last fight was his first fight, no nerves. He just went in there and just completely picked this dude apart, ended up knocking the dude out in the first round. And I've never seen anybody go in their first fight and be that calm and cool. Calm and cool. He looked like he had 20 fights under his belt. It was his first time ever stepping in the ring or a cage. So I know this kid's going to be special. And when it comes to Seth Davis, he'll be fighting for the middleweight strap there. I shouldn't say he'd be fighting for it. He's going to go in and take it. This thing is going to be easy work. This poor guy don't have any chance. Don't be surprised if this dude pulls out of the fight, and that's nothing against him. It's just the fact that Seth is a scary, scary individual, right? He can compete anywhere from middleweight. When he goes pro, which probably ain't too long from now, I could probably send him down to welterweight. He's packed with muscle. Funny story about him is when I went to junior college to play football, I walked on a practice the first time, and I saw this huge buff dude playing strong safety, which was the position I played. The guy ended up leaving and becoming a cop. Now fast forward however many years later, that's Seth's dad. And when Seth's dad saw me in a fight, he said, "I can't believe it's you, da-da-da-da, I've been following you forever." He goes, "I want to bring my son to you." Brought his son to me, I don't know, a little over a year ago. And we're 3-0 at this point. He fought last Saturday, ended up breaking the guy's fibula and separating the guy's shoulder. The guy refused to come out after in between rounds 2 and 3 because he was just so damaged. He's just a freaky athlete, man. He's a freaky athlete who hasn't even really hit his stride yet when it comes to fighting. But when he does, he's going to be scary. And that's it. And that's at 2 weight classes. To be honest with you, I could probably move him up and he could win the light heavyweight state title too.
Man, when you're talking about confidence, I mean, you ooze confidence. Your fighters ooze confidence. It's like they just naturally feed off of you. It's
gained in that room. CSW has had the reputation for years of being a room that you don't just walk into. Traditionally, we've had a room of killers. Quentin Jackson, Josh Barnett, Sean Shirk, Eric Coach Brock Lesnar, all kinds of guys. And our room has been packed since day one with guys just killers. Hector Lombard was there for a long time. And that room breeds confidence. The type of rounds that you're doing in there, it's not for the faint of heart. And you earn your stripes in that room. And when you go in a fight, they just think about all the rounds they've done against these world champions and these guys that are in the UFC or fighting at the highest level, and Glory and K1 and Bellator. And my amateurs are going against these guys every single day. So yeah, the confidence just comes from the amount of work they put in. My team is the best in shape team, and they are the most well-rounded team.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody looks at Seth Davis looks like something you've never seen. It's like the combination of that when you look across like some fighters that are in the movies and stuff like that where they're yoked but they're not really fighters, and you're like, and then you see Davis and you're like, well, he looks like he should be an actor, but he fights like a real fighter.
Right. From the top of this is how I try to build my guys. From the top of my roster to the bottom of my roster, from the pros to the amateurs, I put these guys in my laboratory and try to control as much of the fight game and the preparation for the fight game. That includes strength and training, conditioning, everything. Basically, what I try to do is I try to like picture my gym as like an Xbox or a PlayStation or something, and I just got the new UFC game, and I'm in there creating these dudes, right? From how they look to how they fight, and I'm just taking what they do and trying to fine tune it. Make what they do great even better, and make what maybe they're deficient in and try to continually pick that up while always focusing on what they're really, really good at.
Okay, Ben. So
my guys are scary, man. Right now we're on a 13-1 record, and our last 13 fights from the Amis and the pros, and that one was a controversial decision that we lost, and everybody believed we won, and I thought we won.
What was that one decision?
Actually, we ended up fighting. One of my middleweights fought my ex-teammate, Josh Barnett, fought his team. and they got the nod. I forget what show it was. It was out at the Orange County Fairgrounds, but I believe we won it. Everybody believed we won it. I think they might have gave the nod to him. It was close enough to go either way, but it's my one blemish in the last 14 fights.
So Ben, you're talking about PlayStation, you're talking about Xbox and playing the UFC game and creating fighters from scratch. So if you're sitting there creating Seth Davis, how do you create him? If you're sitting there and creating Choi, how do you create him?
They're different, man. They're different. They have different toolboxes and different sets, but to be honest with you, man, I try to create everybody the same. I try to have my guys as well-rounded and efficient in every single facet of the game. Now, I'm not talking about striking and grappling and wrestling. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about jabs and crosses and putting their combinations together and entries into the clinch and clinch the takedown, and from the takedown transition to a different position, a more favorable position, from a favorable position to a submission, knowing 3 submissions ahead. If I'm going for the armbar, what I really want is the toe hold, and how am I going to transition from that armbar to the toe hold? So that's how I try to train my guys, and that has been passed down to me from Eric Paulson, because that's the way he fought. Anybody that doesn't know who Eric Paulson is, go on Google and type in Eric Paulson, and you will be fucking amazed at who this dude is, right? He is a legend of MMA. He's the first American legend of MMA. And basically what I'm trying to do to these guys is I'm just trying to make them an image of what I saw, right? And what I tried to do for myself. And whereas maybe I wasn't as effective in myself, I might have ran out of time or didn't, for whatever reason, I never got the chance to fight the UFC and this and that, which was my dream. Now my goal is to make that happen for everybody else, right? My goal is to make this dream happen for as many guys as I can. As long as they dedicate themselves to me, and my room is hard to be in. It is not an easy team to be on. You will grind, you will be conditioned. But when they survive that, they will come out a much better fighter.
But see, Badger Ben Jones here from CSW, the head coach. But see, sometimes that's what makes a great coach, is you see the stuff that's inside of you that might be a negative, and you turn it into a positive as you push your team forward.
I'm trying, man. I believe really strongly in the positivity and being real positive about it. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of coaches, I shouldn't say a lot of coaches, but there is coaches out there that they have trouble wanting their guys to be better than they were, or to achieve any kind of success that perhaps they weren't able to. Right, and it's natural. There's a natural jealousy when it comes to that kind of stuff, and I'd be lying if I said that there wasn't. But I truly want my guys to all be better than me. When I roll with my guys, like I'm a second-degree black belt under Eric Paulson and Higa Machado. When I roll with my guys, I'm never gonna let them catch me, but I want them to catch me, right? Because then I truly know that I'm doing my job and that they're elevating their game, or trying to every single day. I want my guys to reach levels that nobody, has even seen yet, and surpass everything I did and win way more belts and all kinds of stuff. And I think that when you have that quality, that's truly what people they'll respond to it, and people will be like a magnet and want to come train with you. And that's what I want, man. I want the biggest, best team around that people are completely terrified of, right? That's just what I want.
Shoot, this has been one of my favorite interviewing for a coach. I mean, this went longer than I thought it was going to go. We could keep going with Ben Badger Jones right now. But, Ben, we got to go ahead and wrap this up and finish up the show. So thank you for joining us. We're looking forward to seeing Choi and Seth Davis October 20th at IE Fight Night. Keep up the great work. We're looking forward to seeing these two studs.
We'll be there that night, man. I'm coming to collect belts, so you'll see me. I'll be the one whose guys are all wearing championship belts.
Sounds good. And then he'll be the one that's doing apparently the CSW slap.
Damn right. I'm famous for that slap. If you ain't never seen it, it's worth it to buy a ticket to the show just to see the slap. That thing has been passed down for almost 20 years now.
Shoot, I can't wait for that. All right, thanks for joining us, Ben Badger. Thank you for joining us, boss.
Anytime.
All right. All right, everybody. That was Ben Badger Jones, head coach of CSW. Wow.
Sorry we didn't get to our other topics today, but just talking to Ben Badger Jones, I mean, when you got a good guy with a good interview, you just keep going because of the fact that there's so many moving parts that you can talk about. And also, you got to mention his fighters, Seth Davis, Choi. Seth Davis, like I said, he's built like a model. He fights like a fighter. The guy's going for the title.
Tank.
The guy's going for the title at IE Fight Night Champions. David Bramlett, Lorenz Larkin, finding the unique fighters and coaches and bringing them over. And then we get to do stuff like this. So if you don't know who Ben Jones is and who Combat Submission Wrestling is,
now you know.
Now you know. But next week, we'll probably touch on our UFC Fight Night, 137 Fallout, the Joshua Povetkin fight, or we may just go a different route. Who knows? But
we'll be back next week right here, IELiveTV.com, Facebook Live, YouTube, you name it. On Twitter, at the Ducross Bros. We are the Sports Warriors. I'm Tristan Ducross. Along my side, as always, my brother Sean Ducross. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live in the Warriors Den with the Sports Warriors. Till next time, we're out of here.